finally have stripped them all off and they've come up really well. I'll give you a closer look over it in a minute. Now I've decided I'm going to paint them, solely because of the logistics of how I'm going to spray them and where I'm going to spray them. If I had more room, I'd be able to spray them, but on thinking about it, I've no room, so I'm going to paint them. Anyway, what I'm going to do first of all before I start painting is it just needs a little clean off. I mean, not much at all, so I'm just going to give it a quick rub over with this wire brush. And I've got a little screwdriver in case there's any bits stuck in places. Now, once I've done that, I'm just going to give it a quick light rub over just on some of the flats. I'll show you some of that, but you can have a quick look around it first. So when you look over it, it's not bad at all. It's pretty good. There's just the odd little bit like there. Just needs a bit of a scrape off, you know. And then you can even use the wire brush. And then, like I say, on these flat bits, just the sandpaper. And that's it. I'm going to go over the legs and things like that, but there's hardly anything to do whatsoever. It's literally ready for the paints. So well worth stripping them. Once you've cleaned it off, give it in the dust over and actually dust the debris off your board, because you don't want to be picking any of that up when you're painting. So I'll just show you the paint I'm going to be using, the primer to go over the aluminium. This is the paint I'm going to be using. Zinsser Bullseye 123, interior, exterior, primer, sealer, stain killer. Dries in 30 minutes, recoatable in an hour. That's if you're using water-based paints on top. If you're using oil, you're best leaving it 24 hours. Let's just have a look on the side there. Sticks to all surfaces without sanding. So aluminium, not a problem. And I've also had this one tinted to a light grey, because it's all going grey and I didn't want a white primer. So just having a look there, I know I'm using it on aluminium, but it's got rust inhibitor in it, and it does say somewhere about aluminium. Bullseye 123 contains a chalk binding resin, so it can be used on moderately chalked aluminium or previously painted trim and stuff like that. So, sorted. Let's have a look. I'm using a synthetic 1.5 inch Hamilton paintbrush. Now with this stuff, I opened it yesterday. I've been doing a chair, and I've already stirred it up, but I'm going to give it another stir up before I use it again today. It's quite thick, but don't worry about that because it does actually spread out quite nicely. I shall show you that in a minute. It's actually got a nice smell to it as well. Makes a change with paint. Right, so let's have a look. When it comes to painting this, there's just no easy way about it. There's so many different angles on it to paint from. It's where to begin. Now, I found the best way is to turn it upside down and start on the back of the bottom. Basically, I'll do a few edges on this underneath edge of the arm as well. Bits of the legs on the inside which I can't get from on the outside, or I might do the whole legs and turn. I think I did the whole leg and turned it up the other way actually. Like I say, it's not easy. So the paints, I've not thinned it because it can end up running everywhere, so I'm going to use it as it is, but you can thin it with water for other surfaces. So I'll bring the camera closer in so you can have a look at this back bit. Hopefully you've got a good view from there. So there's not going to be much talking. Again, it is about not putting too much paint on, spreading it out nicely. You don't want it running on anything, on any edges, so you've got to be really careful how much you pull in the brush across. What you can do is get a coat on it and then have a good look over it, look for any misses and touch them up. Good thing about this, it dries that quick. You can actually top up on your coat as you go in sometimes. All about not getting the thick edges and leaving too much paint everywhere. I did find that some of the thick edges, it doesn't dry that quick. You can brush them back because obviously there is bound to be the odd thick edge because it's impossible to paint around these bits without getting a bit of a run on the other side. And that's one reason I do the underneath first, so then from the top I can work out, flatten the runs off better, and then if there is any left, at least they're underneath when you've finished. Although you can turn it over and just double check. It dries that quick. What I'm going to do is bring the legs in, and then the bottom of the arms, and turn it upside down. As you go in, you'll probably notice the odd little bit where you may have missed, so you just touch them in. There's quite a few, because them edges are very difficult to get. That's why you need to check over when it's dry. Just touch anything up. That's not too bad. And these legs, just make sure you don't get a paint run down one edge, because that's very easy to do as well. These front legs, I only do a little bit of these because it's not too bad. I can get the rest of the angle as long as you've not got a thick edge of paint. Okay. Move around that other side. Carried away, finish the leg. Lose yourself doing this. Right, it's not too bad. I'm just going to have a quick look at these edges. Because they're on a slight angle, these edges, they are very difficult to get. I mean, I'm going to do a bit from the other side as well. It's not too bad. Right. Now, like I say, because it's really awkward on how you do it, some of these bottom edges on the arms I'm going to do now, because I can't see them proper when it's upside down. Oh, sorry, when it's up the other way. So, some little edges in. Again, just remembering you're not leaving thick edges because everything blends in. And the back of the arm. To the side, and then I'm going to turn it over. Now you've got to kind of keep a pace up with this, because although it's not too bad on picking the edges up in the runs, if you're not quick enough they're going to dry. turn that up the other way now. First of all, I'm going to finish these arms. Just double check the camera, make sure you can see. Not quite. That's a bit better. Fiddly things. I'll check that over later. It's not a bad paint to use at all, really. It's quite forgiving. That's it. It's difficult because I'm trying to stay out of the way of the camera for you so you can see a bit better. I'll do, get the idea there. So anyway, I'm going to do this arm in a second, but this flat bit now, you go back over that best you can. Again, trying to not get too much paint flooding through, otherwise it just creates loads of runs. But as you're going across this front bit now, you can pick up any runs that have come through from when you was doing the other side, and let them, you know, spread them out a bit best you can. There's bound to be a bit goes through to the other side again, so when you finish, just rub over the bottom with a brush, with a dry brush. Right. Try and keep all the paintbrush marks the same way if you can. basically you get the idea there. So now I'm going to finish this bottom bit and then I'll show you some on the back. Just this back bit to do now. So what I usually do first is bring up the two sides. You've got to be conscious if you get any drips on this bottom bit now that you actually touch them up, rub them in. I don't know if you can tell the light's changed in here, but it's absolutely gone black outside. It's throwing it now. It's nice to have a bit of work to do inside. Because usually I'd have my radio on now and just listen to some tunes. So that's what we're saying now. I'd say as you go in you can always literally put a second coat on some areas. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Always keep an eye out for a mess. Just touch it up. Right, and then once I've done them sides, what I usually do is start just the underneath edge of everything. I mean, these bits actually you can do all around. Oh. Try to spin the brush round in the hand then. Sometimes you do make a mistake. These bits are that small as I'm doing the in bits there, I'll just bring it in. They are quite small then, just to the centre. Go away fly. Once you've brought in all the edges there, usually start back on the top then. Again, it's whatever process works best for you really, it's just find a starting point and get going. And you can bring that the back in. Okay then. So there's only the back to bring in now. I'll show you the finish. And then that's that finished. That's one I did yesterday, testing it all out. So I've only got another 2 chairs to prime and then 2 tables to prime. And then I've got to undercoat it all and gloss it all. But this video basically was just on about the primer. and every other coat is just the same really on application, making sure you're not putting it on too thin so it all runs everywhere, and just keeping all your edges going and flattening them off in case you don't get back to it quick enough so it doesn't dry on you. Oil paint's not as bad. This stuff dries pretty quick really, but again it's forgiving, you know, you can get rid of any runs. So it's done really well, that has. I'm impressed with the paint. So you will be able to see the finished chairs because I'll do a little video on them or I'll post a picture of them, but I won't be showing you the undercoat and gloss. Right then.